Morning, guys. Morning. I'm not dead. I'm still here. And I have some videos coming out this week. Thank you guys so much for sticking it out with me while I take a little MenTB. I really appreciate that. But I do have some things I want to talk about. One, I read one of my favorite books of the year. I want to give you guys a review on that. Two, I have a book haul coming. Those are always easy and fun for you guys to watch. Three, this video. AKA, I just finished season 3 of Bridgerton, the second half of it. And I have some thoughts. I have some feelings and some thoughts, and I want to get them out. There was some shocking things that happened this season that people are upset about. It's just going to happen eventually, right? Bridgerton, it was getting too good a hype. It just was. Like, you're not going to keep people happy all the time. So there were some changes that were made this season, and some people are kind of upset about it, and I want to talk about some of those things and how I'm feeling. Now, if you watched my video from like 2 weeks ago, it's gotten so many views. It's gotten like 700 views, which I don't get that many views, so that's kind of crazy. But I talk about how I have done like every format that you can of Bridgerton. So I have watched Bridgerton, listened to Bridgerton, and read Bridgerton. And in doing so, I said that I preferred watching Bridgerton, and that's how I like to consume that particular medium. Then season 3 came and kind of made a liar of me. Just a little bit, guys. I will tell you, I am not like raging pitchfork like some people out there are, but I was incredibly disappointed by season 3 as some of the changes and things like that. Yeah, so let's delve into that. Full spoilers, by the way, for multiple things. If you are not a Bridgerton person or don't mind spoilers, don't watch this video. Because there are going to be a lot of spoilers for things that happen in the books. You can find those anywhere on TikTok and on Facebook or whatever. And we're going to talk about why I think Shonda Rhimes is going in a different direction. So for the first 2 seasons, and I think this is why everybody is kind of up in a ruckus about it, is that for the first 2 seasons, they have followed fairly closely to the Bridgerton books by Julia Quinn. Now, in this season, we start to see some pretty blatant and blaring differences. I had a feeling it was going to go this way for a couple of different reasons. One reason is that Benedict's depiction on the show is quite different than Benedict's depiction in the books. And I picked on that quickly. I picked up on that by season 2. It didn't take all of season 3, though. Season 3 really cemented it home for me. But by season 2, possibly because Benedict is my favorite character in the books, and I love Benedict in the show. He is just different than Benedict in the books. So I picked up on that in season 2, that I was like, I wonder how she's going to do this, because this Benedict is very different from the book Benedict. And Benedict's storyline, if you heard the brief mention in the last episode of season 3, the masquerade ball on Halloween, that Eloise is coming home from Scotland, that is where Benedict will meet his wife, should Shonda choose to follow the books. Sophie is one of my favorite characters. She's a bastard daughter of a lord who is kind of got a Cinderella story. Benedict's story is very Cinderella retelling-esque. They meet at this, they're going to meet at this masquerade ball. she is done up in masquerade and things, and he does not recognize her because she's working as a servant in her stepmother's home. And so Benny sees her, falls instantly for her. She takes off, and then he searches for her for like a year, 2 years, something like that. And I feel like they kind of missed the ball, if you would, to have had Sophie and Benedict meet a little bit earlier in the show. Sorry about that. I was coughing. So Benedict's book is, like I said, like book 3. It's fairly early in the series. In the timeline of things, they've already messed up Benedict's story because Benedict should have met Sophie before Colin and Penelope got together. So what I'm confused at is why they didn't do the masquerade meet cute before this, so that all of this time that he's at least being a rogue out there and being ridden more than the town bicycle in Bridgerton, he could be like also kind of searching for Sophie. Like that would kind of make sense. They could totally kind of do something like that where, or could have done something like that, where while he was out there being roguish and, you know, just being Benedict, he could have at least had the breadcrumbs of the Sophie storyline. I feel like at this point, there is a chance that we're not even going to get the Benedict Sophie story because of the fact that the breadcrumbs that should have been sprinkled at this point have not been at all. It is going to be way too hard for them to go from Benedict season 3, where we leave Benedict, to a full-blown searching for this woman who he thinks is the love of his life, and then also like meeting Sophie in the situation he meets her in. I don't know. I feel like it is going to be too hard of a left, that these breadcrumbs should have been sprinkled already. That's just my personal opinion. Also, there's been no breadcrumbs, if you would, with the Eloise and Sir Philip storyline. That should have been happening. I really don't know how they're going to turn in Eloise's story next season. I've heard rumors that Eloise's season is next. I don't know how she's going to introduce that. I have heard rumors that she's going to go a completely different direction with Eloise's story than the Lord Philip storyline that actually happens in the books, because we met him so briefly in season 2 when Colin goes to visit his old friend and she introduces him briefly to her husband. But I just don't know that that is the way that they're going to go with Eloise. I don't feel like the Eloise of the show is that same Eloise of the book, if that makes any sense. I would not be surprised if Shonda goes a different love interest for Eloise. I would not be surprised if she doesn't do a love interest with Benedict. And then, of course, the one that has everybody on the uproar, or at least just talking right now. And that is that we met Michaela Sterling, who should have been Michael Sterling. Huge spoiler alert. If you do not know, Francesca's husband, John Sterling, Lord Kilmartin, does not live very long. Yeah, so Lord Kilmartin, he doesn't live very long. He unfortunately tragically passes away, and Francesca falls in love during their grieving time with Michael Sterling, his cousin. So Michael and Michaela, people are upset. It's not on my list of things I'm upset about with season 3. It's really not. I look forward to seeing how Shonda is going to kind of handle this in the Regency era. It's not bothering me enough to be like, oh, screw this. But doesn't mean I liked season 3. Honestly, there was so many different storylines going on between Anthony and Kate, between Lady Bridgerton and Violet and the brother of Lady Danbury, between Cressida, Eloise, Benedict. It didn't even feel like Colin and Penelope's season to me. I'm not gonna lie to you. Also, what was Colin's attitude in the second half of the season? Yes, in the books he is upset about her being Lady Whistledown and a bit jealous, but I don't know. Maybe it was just the way that Luke Newton depicted it on screen, but he came across as a huge asshole for the majority of the second half of the season, only to have a Hail Mary speech in the last episode. That's not the Colin Bridgerton that I know from the books. And I don't know, guys. The second half of season 3 really left me with a bad taste in my mouth. I'm upset about it. Not for the reasons other people are upset, but some of them, aka, I feel like there are going to be some major changes. She has set this season up to tell us that whatever you know from the books, maybe forget, or at least bend. There's going to be differences going forward. And that doesn't make my little book heart happy. I really loved season 1 and 2. I liked season 3. I don't know where I'm at, but it's so funny because I just put out that Bridgerton video. And it got like 700 views, and it never fails. And I tell this to my husband, I tell this to my friends, I tell this to my kid. Every time I brag on something, every single time that I go bragging on something where I'm like, this is really awesome and will never burn me, it burns me the next freaking, like, very soon after. Every single time that I say, this thing will never burn me, it burns me. And once again, just 2 weeks after I put out a Bridgerton video where I'm raving about the TV show, does the second half of season 3 kind of burn me. It is my luck. But yeah, those are my feelings on season 3 of Bridgerton. I'd love to talk to you about it in the comments, so please drop your opinions on whether you liked season 3, disliked season 3, wish that she would go more against the books, wish she would stick more with the books, what you think is going to happen for Benedict and Eloise. Do you think that they're going to get their book-esque stories, or do you think like me and she's going to go off the rails with at least one of those two? I'd love to know all of your opinions and thoughts. Thanks for hanging out, even though I've been kind of MIA. I appreciate you liking, subscribing, and sharing the videos. I totally appreciate you. But yeah, that is all that I have to say on this controversial topic at the time. I love you all, and I will see you guys very soon.